Is Loki Season 2 secretly satanic?
SpiritLife!
Hey SpiritLife, I'm Bruce, and I do Christian commentary. This is not so much to tell you whether you should or shouldn't watch Loki Season 2, but just some commentary around it. First, the good. The show, Loki, as a show, is well produced, it's well written, it's intriguing. There's a lot of really good production value. The costumes, the set pieces, the acting are all top notch. I mean, let's face it, some of Disney Plus's most recent Marvel productions have not been the top notch. The CGI was bad, the writing was poor. This is a return to form of some of their better TV type production. And so if you're just looking in terms of just from a secular point of view, you know, is it a good show to watch? Yeah, I think you'll be entertained. I think you'll probably be intrigued. The whole episode, I was thinking, they're going to cut the episode any minute now. I just know it. And they'd stretch out a little bit further, and I'm thinking, oh, they're going to leave us on a cliffhanger now. I just know it. And they actually, you know, did leave with somewhat of a cliffhanger, but it was still a satisfying episode. Like, you could look at episode 1 as if this is a fun, self-contained story that we know has to have a continuation, but it didn't totally leave you in an unsatisfactory spot to just totally leave off on an absolute cliffhanger. And in terms of the music, the audio production, everything was top-notch. That being said, let's talk about the Christian elements, because that's what you're here for this channel to hear about. I think that there was maybe one element that could be problematic, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but I didn't really hear or see anything that was overtly bad, in my opinion. For example, I think I could probably watch this show with my kids. In other words, there was no bad language or sexual immorality or something that I would think, hey, this is not appropriate. You know, it would probably make sense if your family had already watched season 1, if you're going to watch season 2. But season 1 does have a few elements that you can check out my playlist about all of the episodes. I went in an in-depth discussion, and I think there are some problematic elements that are not suitable for kids in the first season. But anyway, the point is, it didn't seem to really have any overtly bad things. It wasn't obviously or overtly satanic, that's for sure. I mean, it's not like the protagonists are saying, you should worship Satan, and there was no witchcraft even, despite the fact that Loki is kind of a magical character. There was nothing really to critique on that end of things. So why would I say the question, is Loki secretly satanic? Well, here's the reason. A lot of Hollywood productions have an undertone where they make us sympathize with the protagonist, which is good writing, and we like the protagonist, we want them to succeed, and the protagonist comes to find out that their version of the authority figure of their universe, whether it's in the Truman Show, you know, the guy who's kind of running the show and running the cameras, and he's controlling and manipulating Truman, or whether it's the Matrix, the architect, you know, the bearded guy that's in the room of TVs and he's manipulating everything, and he's a tyrant and he's controlling and he's evil. There's a lot of this undertone in so many properties that Hollywood produces where the protagonist, whom we like and want to succeed, questions, for good reason, their version of the authority figure. The problem, though, is not the questioning of authority. Sometimes in real life, there are authorities that are actually evil. I mean, you might think of somebody who traditionally has been viewed as good, an entity, a government even, maybe even the American government, that was traditionally viewed as a good force for good, but in secret they're corrupt. That happens all the time in real life. So my problem is not when someone questions authority, but the problem is when the authority is portrayed as an analog for God himself. So like the architect or in the Truman Show, those figures were portrayed as if they're kind of the God figure. And the implication is that Yahweh, God, the Lord, is somehow actually untrustworthy. He's painted a picture as if he's the benevolent guy we're supposed to follow, but in reality, they say that he's actually a tyrant. He's restricting our freedom to sin and do what we want. The whole theme of Satanism is do as thou wilt. Actually, Gnosticism and Satanism, they kind of overlap, believe that Satan is the good guy. He rebelled against the Lord in order to help humanity to be set free from his tyranny. And so there's this total reversal of, like, the devil is not actually the accuser of the brethren. Like the Bible says, the devil's not actually the guy who's out to kill, steal, and destroy and mess up our lives and deceive us and everything. Instead, he's supposedly this hero who's exposing the evil of the Godhead, who's supposed to be good, but he's really not. That undertone might be in the Loki series. And I talked extensively about that in the Season 1 review as I went through each and every episode. Season 2 actually adds a twist, though, because Loki himself begins to question whether or not his initial assumption was correct. And this, again, is just good writing. It's intriguing. It makes you want to hear more and find out more. Because initially, he's on that path, just like so many other Hollywood productions, to say, oh, who you thought was the benevolent authority who's doing good, they're actually evil, they're selfish, they're doing evil. And that's where he questioned the TVA, and then he exposed the TVA. It's all lies, it's all built on deception, and they're actually harming people. They're wiping out entire plot lines, entire timelines, and entire races of people. But now, in Season 2, Episode 1, Loki is questioning maybe it was for the greater good, because he's beginning to think that disaster has come upon them for eliminating he who remains. And he's also thinking maybe by doing that, a greater harm is coming than the harm that they supposedly were protesting against. And so, at the end of the day, I won't say to you, do or don't watch anything unless I think it's overtly bad. But especially here, where it's not clear if the writers are trying to slip in some Gnostic ideology or some satanic undertones, I don't know. If you feel convicted not to watch Disney Plus, if you're protesting Disney in general because they've gone super weird, way off the tracks, then hey, more power to you. You are not missing anything if you skip the Loki show. I'm telling you, you're not missing anything if you skip any show. TV is not a necessity. So I do these reviews just because it's a fun way to talk about biblical topics, but don't feel like you're missing out if you skip this show. On the other hand, I wouldn't sit here and say you definitely have to skip this. It's really, really evil. It's just bad to even watch it all. I think that it's possible the Lord could speak to you. I remember when I watched The Matrix, for example, I wasn't thinking of it from a Gnostic point of view. I saw a lot of Christian symbolism that spoke to me as a Christian. And I think it's possible that the Lord could even give you a few insights. But then again, God can use anything. And it's probably better to let him speak to you through the Bible and prayer than a TV show. What's your thoughts? Do you think that there are some Gnostic or some satanic undertones in Loki Season 1? What about Season 2 so far? Have you noticed any of that in the first episode? Or have you thought of the plot twist that I pointed out to say maybe there's a reversal? And I don't know that it would be appropriate to relate he who remains to the Lord, but in universe, there may not even be the Lord, so to speak, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. According to Thor 4, you had, this pantheon of gods, supposed gods, and, it's getting really weird. If you're trying to look to the MCU as kind of an analogy of Christianity, you're not going to find it there, that's for sure. But what's your thoughts? What analogy have you found? As always, hit the like and subscribe buttons. It helps the channel so much. This is Bruce on Spirit Life.
Won't you come, won't you come?